This was my home. It's in Evanston. We moved when I was 8. When I was little, my parents called me Issa Bee because I was always busy as a bee. I've just never been a big fan of staying still. I'm really not the smartest person, but there was a time in high school when I averaged 17 hours per day on school. I wasn't even taking the hardest classes either, but I was busy as a bee. I felt something rising in my chest sometimes, but most of the time I couldn't feel a thing. Once it bubbled to the surface, I let it trample my throat and strip my breath. I let my exhales rise to God. I let my tears drip onto his palms. As a child, my dream job was the receipt checker at Costco. My grandma took me there all the time and always gave me the receipt to hand to the checker. Most of the time, it was this kind old man who would draw a picture of my face on the receipt. I always saved his portraits of me in the cup holder of my car seat. I tried to practice my own self-portraits on other grocery receipts, but I can't remember what they looked like. At home, my dad would do this thing where he would expect us kids to wash the dishes, and if we didn't get up immediately after a meal to do them, he'd wash them instead. There was never a pause. We'd fight him on it as we rolled up our sleeves and told him we would do it. But he didn't stop. The eczema on his hands burned under the steaming water. I got poison ivy one summer with some friends. They said it was hard to resist the itch when it dragged them out of their sleep at night. But when I woke up, I just raked my nails through the rashes again and again. People kept telling me to stop, but it wasn't like they were going to scratch it for me instead. The doctors said to avoid heat, so I turned the shower faucet to the hottest temperature and burned under the steaming water. Eventually, the red turned to a brown. You can see the poison ivy polka dots on my stomach if I wear a crop top. But come on, I've learned the rules of a conservative household. When you raise your arms, your shirt should be long enough to hide your midriff. Shorts, skirts, and dresses must be below your fingertips. Necklines must only permit that the amount of chest you show is equal to or less than the size of your palm. They told me it was what God wanted, and that seeing skin was meant only for my future husband. I know the rules seem outdated, but whenever I wear something that violates them, I still pause for a split second. Not because I care whatsoever about any man's commentary on my wardrobe, nor do I believe God would be upset with me. I think he cares a great deal about how I feel in the things I wear. But I still pause, because this is how I was taught to live in my body. My dad always had this yellow aluminum tube of specially prescribed ointment for his eczema. I used it for my skin when I needed. My mom used to massage it into my scalp every night before bed, while I would think about all the chronic illnesses I wish I had so she could care for me even more. Now I wish the medicine seeped into my brain. I don't take the medicine that is prescribed to me. I can't swallow pills. Almost every year I feel like I get into some fight with food. I don't eat for a bit, and I think about how I could get even thinner so people could care about me more. And then I let it go, at least for a little while, because I'm being an attention whore. When I was little, my mom was angrier on the days she wore her hair in a ponytail than on the days she didn't. I don't remember when I decided this was a hard fact, but It was how I decided who my favorite parent was each day. I could decide things like that. I hated the ponytail days, but at least I knew it was coming. I liked a boy once. He didn't have enough hair for a ponytail, but I wish he did. I really wanted him to think I was pretty, but all he talked about was girls who looked nothing like me. So I convinced myself I was just stupid for wanting anything at all, because I need nothing at all. People usually tell me to just stop it and to take care of myself more, but I can't even remember how to draw myself on the back of a receipt. I let them handle my portraits instead, even if that means they get to dictate the home I've lived in and they have not. God isn't really into lecturing me, though he's the most qualified to tell me off. But he's less concerned with lectures and much more deeply concerned with me. He's always more gentle with me than I am with myself. A month before I returned to Evanston for school, when my poison ivy was still red, I felt a sense of rest at church. I looked at the scars I raked through my rashes, and the skin that I scorched, and the stomach that I starved. Whether I kept my hands lowered near this home I'd run from and charged towards and burned through, or whether I raised my hands to the ceilings, as far away from the damage I had done, and as close as I could possibly get to God, who had always held me after I'd done it. I think maybe if I keep them up there long enough, he'll heal my hands to want to hold me too. Sometimes I think about how my dad raised his hands during worship on Sundays, and then he lowered his hands to wash dishes at home. The distance of an arm's reach is worlds away.